The Anglo-Saxon invasion from 410 to 1066.
The consequence of mild climate and centuries of peace was the result of a wealthy Britain. For that reason, in 4030 100 AD, the invasions began. The newcomers were warlike and a literary people. These people came from the most powerful Germanic tribes, the Saxons, the Angles, and the Jutes. The Jutes settled mainly in Kent and along the south coast, and soon they were considered no different from the Angles and Saxons. The Angles settled in the east and also in the North Midlands, while the Saxons settled between the Jutes and the Angles in a band of land from the same estuary westwards. The Anglo-Saxon migrations gave the large part of Britain its new name, England, the land of the Angles. The British Celts fought the raiders and settlers from Germany as well as they could. However, during the next 100 years they were slowly pushed westwards. Finally, most were driven into the mountains for the west, which the Saxons called Wellas or Wales, meaning the land of the foreigners. Some Celts were driven into Cornwall, where they later accepted the rule of the Saxon lords. In the north, other Celts were driven into the lowlands of the country, which became known as Scotland. The Anglo-Saxons established a number of kingdoms, some of which still exist in original names. By the middle of the 7th century, the three largest kingdoms, Northumbria, Mercia, and Wessex, were the most powerful. A century later, one of these kings, King of Mercia, claimed the kingship of the English. He was powerful enough to employ thousands of men to build a huge dike or earth wall. But although he was the most powerful king of this time, he did not control all of England. So the power of Mercia did not survive after Offa's death. According to the government and society, the Saxons created institutions which made the English state strong for the next 500 years. One of these institutions was the King's Council, called the Witan. The Witan was a council of advisors to the king. Its essential duty was to advise the king on all matters on which he chose to ask its opinion. The king decided who was on the Witan and where it met. He did not have to follow its advice. It was made up of important people like earls and archbishops. It discussed threats and disputed issues, laws, and charters, and had a large role in choosing a new king. A new system of social class emerged. At first, the kings, that his most important tasks were to defend his country from attack. He had also power over the church. The earls were the most powerful lords and owned huge areas of land. The peasants, over 70% of the population, had to work on the lands under a lord for up 3 days a week, and the slaves, around 10% of the population. They were not free and had no land. The Saxons divided the land into new administrative areas, based on shires or counties. There were about 40 shires or counties. The king appointed a local thegn as a sheriff, the chief official in each shire. The king sent him instructions in documents called writs. Sheriffs were expected to collect taxes and fines due to the kings, carried out justice on the king's shire court. The shire courts deal with the most serious crimes, murder, theft, and dispute over the ownership of land, and raise soldiers for the royal army whenever they were needed.
Anglo-Saxon technology changed the shape of English agriculture. They introduced a far heavier plough which was better able to plough in long straight line across the field. It was useful for cultivating heavier soils. This heavier plough led to changes in land ownership and organization. In order to make the best use of village land, it was divided into two or three very large fields. These were divided again into long, thin strips. Each family had a number of strips in each of these fields. One of these fields would be used for planting spring crops and another for autumn crops. The third area would be left to the rest for a year, and with the other areas after harvest would be used as common land for animals. This Anglo-Saxon pattern, which became more and more common, was the basis of English agriculture for 1,000 years until the 18th century.
Christianity was accepted by the Roman Emperor Constantine in the early 40th century AD. In the last 100 years of Roman government, Christianity became firmly established across Britain. However, the Anglo Saxons belonged to an older Germanic religion. In the Celtic area, Christianity continues to spread, bringing paganism to the end. In 597, Pope Gregory the Great sent a monk, Augustine, to reestablish Christianity in England. He went to Canterbury, the capital of the King of Kent, because the king's wife came from Europe and was already Christian. Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury in 1604. He was interested in establishing Christian authority. In 1663, at Synon, a meeting of Whitby, the King of Northumbria decided to support the Roman Church, and soon England became Christian. Saxon king helped the church to grow, but the church also increased the power of kings. Bishops gave kings their support, which made it harder for royal power to be questioned. King had God's approval. He used the literary men of the church to help establish a system of law, to educate the people, and to write down important matters. He started the Anglo Saxon Chronicle, the most important source, together with Bede's Ecclesiastical History of the English People. Bede was known as the father of the English history. Towards the end of 8th century, new riders were tempted by the Britons' wealth. These were the Vikings. They came from Norway and Denmark. The word Vikings probably means either pirates or the people of the sea inlets. On 1793, the Vikings' first recorded attack against England. 1794, they burned churches and monasteries along the east, north, and west coast of Britain and Ireland. 1865, the Vikings invaded Britain when it was clear that the quarreling Anglo-Saxon kingdom could not keep them out. These times they came to conquer and to settle. 1866, they attacked York. 1878, the King Alfred in the west of Saxon held out against the Vikings. After some serious defeat, Alfred won a decisive battle. In 1886, 8 years later, he recovered London and he was strong enough to make treaty with the Vikings. In 1990, the Saxon king Ethelred decided to pay the Vikings to stay away. In 1016, when Ethelred died, Sinud or Canute, the leader of the Danish Vikings, controlled much of England and he became king of England with the support of the Witan. In 1040, the Witan chose Edward the Confessor, one of the Saxon Ethelred's sons, to be king. In 1066, Edward died with no heirs. Harold Godwinson was chosen by the Witan to be the next king of England. Harold's right to the English throne was challenged by the Duke William of Normandy. William had two claims to the English throne. His first claim was that King Edward had promised to him. The second claim was that Harold, who had visited William in 1064, promised William that Harold would not try to take the throne from himself. They fought a battle. in which Harold was defeated and killed in a battle near Hastings. Finally, William marched to London and was crowned King of England in Edward's new church of Westminster Abbey on Christmas Day.